Gentlemen, we're here.
Hello.
We're back.
Oh
Hello.
my God, so much has happened. It's July 5th. Free agency has kicked off. We still have big names on the board. Since last we recorded, the draft has happened. Free agency is open. There's been trades, there's been buyouts, all that and more. But before we start, Daniel, you have something to show us.
Yes, it's funny. I'm gonna change it up today because the initial thing I was gonna show you, I've been reshuffling a few things and I actually forgot where I put it. So I will show you something else that is related to the podcast. It's very relevant.
Okay.
I think it's just I've had a lot of free time in my lunch hours over work, like during work, especially when I work remote, right? So I'm surely but surely getting through my backlog of Lego sets that I've accumulated. Forgot I had so many.
Oh I forgot you were getting them.
So I have two, well, actually three small ones right here. I just got these because they were on sale at Walmart, but I got the Han Solo and the small Millennium Falcon over there. I don't.
It's really funny because you have like the blurred background. It looks censored, so it looked like you're holding a naughty item.
I also have the Boba Fett one. What? You see that one there? There you go.
Do you know they changed the name of his ship? It's now just Boba Fett ship.
Boba Fett. That's hilarious.
It was called Slave One. Now, obviously, Disney do not want kids with ships with slave in it.
Don't even get me started about Disney. We're not going to talk about it now. But some of the shows they have on Disney Plus, we need to talk about if that's the line they're drawing.
So yeah, fun fact: they've officially changed it. So if you look at boxes nowadays, it's just Boba Fett ship. Which I was looking at Lego sets like a year ago. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not the name of the ship. But yeah, they changed it because, let's just hope they don't show anything from Peter Pan or anything nowadays. But what else, Daniel?
This is the last one. I think we bought this long time ago. And remember when we had our Lego craze? We all decided to buy something.
Brother, I don't stop my Lego craze.
You finished the battle.
Part of my life.
No, it's actually the Jedi Starfighter. So
yeah, that's Anakin's, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I have that same one, and I've rebuilt it about 17 times.
I really like it. It was a fun set to play.
It's a simple set, but it's an iconic. It's obviously his episode 3 Starfighter for anyone who's not watching the YouTube version. But I wasn't expecting you to bring up Lego, but
thank you. I might now because I kind of want the Obi-Wan one now because I watched Attack of the Clones over the weekend.
They released a new one too.
Yeah,
they re-released it, I think. So yeah, man, there's some good ones out there. All right, so now we can talk about hockey. Now that we've lost everyone talking about Lego, but Lego's more important. Oh man, where do we stay? There isn't a lot.
Let's go to the draft. Let's get the pain out early.
Because here's the thing, like free agency sucked, right? We're still waiting, but it sucked. It was pretty bad. It was just full of like 2-year. We'll talk about it more, but like it kind of sucks. So we can start with the draft. No one's surprised by the fact Connor Bedard went first overall.
I was very
surprised. Drama started at 2 with Leo Carlsson going, and then Adam Fantilli falls to 3. Number 4, it's Will Smith going to San Jose, which I don't think anyone was really surprised with. And the door was open. Now, I don't know about you guys, but obviously, leading up to the draft, I was glued to my phone at every point I could during the day. Like, even at work and that, I was trying to sneak peeks at what was going on. It really felt like the tide was turning that the Canadiens were actually going to take Matvei Michkov. There was word they were tabling like 5 different offers, Frank Seravalli was saying, for the 5th overall pick, but they were keeping the selection, including Nashville offering Yaroslav Askarov, which I saw and I was like, please don't do that. Please don't.
You would never hear the end of it.
I would have cried. I absolutely would have cried. The Canadiens keep the pick, though. They bring out the man, Carey Price, my love, to the last player they selected 5th overall back in 2005 to make the selection. And I cannot tell you how much I wanted to hear him say Matvei Michkov. He goes up, David. Dave looks behind him to Rob Ramage and everyone. It takes an uncomfortably long time for Kent Hughes to go up to Carey Price and say, takes the mic. We meant to do that. It's David Reinbacher. Oh my God. Let's just talk about the good stuff before I lose my mind over this pick.
Yeah.
First off, Carey Price apparently felt really, really bad about this, and it was funny that Pekka Rinne screwed up a pick announcement later in the draft too, as Lalongo tweeted out. Rough night for the Tendies. But apparently Carey Price was like really sorry to him, and he's been like mentoring him about like dealing with Montreal because Reinbacher has already received quite a few I don't know what to say from Habs fans, but idiots, stop. Don't be awful people. That goes without saying, but we feel like we need to mention it anyway. Let's not send rude remarks to an Austrian teenager. I mention that because you can imagine. I don't think I need to say anymore, but look up a famous Austrian around World War II and you'll know. Oh man.
The good. What's the good? What's the good?
So that Carey Price was really cool to him and everything. Like that's good.
That's the good? No, come on. There's more.
He seems like he has a good attitude about the fact that he had probably the most outrageous, furious, passionate to a fault sometimes fan base ruining the day for the kid.
Yeah.
It looked like Carey Price was sort of like being good with him. And it sounded like the organization was sort of there for him, which thank God, because if this was the Bergevin era, they would have just blamed him and then traded him for an aging center who was past his prime. Anyway, or a depth guy. Dwight King, never forget. Listen, I just need to go off for a bit here, guys.
No, I know, but what's the good there? But there's good about the pick. Let's.
We're gonna get to that.
We're
gonna get to the good of the pick, but I just need to let some steam off here.
Okay.
Because I got a lot of text messages after that pick. A lot of people I told I needed time. Other people stopped it because they recognized I needed time.
I think I just left you alone.
Because it got worse. So apparently the reason the Canadiens did not trade down with Philly was because they thought Arizona were going to take Reinbacher.
Okay.
And then Philly goes on. Arizona picked their guy. I don't care about the Coyotes. They're not getting the attention today. And Philly do what everyone knew what they were going to do, and they took Matvei Michkov. Okay.
No one can say anything now, right?
The Caulfield video is dead. They can't do that.
Yeah.
The moment Michkov scores a goal against the Habs, I'm not going to go on Twitter ever again. Okay.
Like everyone has to eat that up.
Oh yeah.
Everyone has to take it because they've been dishing it.
So here's what I'm going to say. First off, I don't think this is as much of a reach of a pick that Kotkaniemi was. That one was the clearest thing of picking for position I think I've ever seen. Like that was bad. That was bad. And I've seen guys from the elite prospect scouts who I trust more than respect, with all respect, a lot of people really talking about the upside of this player, right? So I trust them. I recognize the fact that a top pairing of him and Lane Hudson or Caden Gooley is going to be amazing. And the Habs defensive prospects are chef's kiss. I love it, except for Logan May. I do. I see that. I'm like, that's great. I like that. However, you will never again. I'm not saying I've lost total sort of trust for Kent Hughes, and that group, but there's going to be an asterisk now because you cannot tell me and justify to me. Forget about the Russian contract and all that. You cannot dare look me in the eyes and see that David Reinbacher at 5, I want to say this very clearly, at 5 was the best player available, which is the philosophy Kent Hughes was singing about.
So,
and apparently, just one more thing before I throw the ear out.
Yeah, I was just
all the scouts were unanimous on this. Listen, I get if people like him, but if every single scout, if a business is ran by people and every single person agrees, there's something wrong. So, but I don't, it was wrong. It was wrong. It was the wrong pick.
You say he's not the best player available, and I would agree, right? Like Matvei Michkov's there, and I mean we can go through that. I think there's things that have been said that, to be honest, are so counterintuitive to the way people want to talk about how hockey should be moving forward, and how we've been discussing Matvei Michkov is beyond me. But whatever, we can talk about that after. You say best player available. So obviously Michkov's one of those guys that you would have picked ahead of Reinbacher.
Yeah.
I look at the rest of the top 10. After Reinbacher is Simashev, which again, that's a big reach by the Coyotes.
Simashev,
I think consensus. The fact
that's worse than Reinbacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this goes to this goes even with the Michkov stuff of what he was saying to teams. I don't know if you've heard that interview.
Oh, it got me more mad.
Right,
That's
because
what
then the justification for why Montreal didn't take him is worse. So then you have Simashev, which was a reach. Ryan Leonard, who went to Washington at 8. Nate Danielson, who went to Detroit at 9. And Dalibor Dvorsky, who went to St. Louis at 10.
Yeah.
Who would you take? Or I mean, we can go down the list. Like, how many players there are you looking at and saying I would take them ahead of David Reinbacher?
Name you didn't mention, and I hate the fact Buffalo got him. I would have been fine with Zach Benson at that pick.
Yeah, at 13.
That one's insane to me. I cannot believe he fell that far. Leonard, I would have been okay with in that tier. That was a guy I wanted. Yeah, like those are the guys. I would have been fine with Benson or Leonard at that. But obviously, Michkov is number one, but those would have been the other
outside
guys.
of him.
Yeah. I'm seriously, I'm so shocked Detroit didn't take Benson, really. But I'm very high on Zach Benson.
I'm not going to repeat what you said. I pretty much agree with what you said about the Reinbacher stuff. Like, I think it's pretty, to me, it's like, yeah, I get it. You need a right-handed defenseman. He's available. You think he's going to be taken next at 6, which is possible. I just don't understand them not taking Michkov, because, and I guess we can talk about it now if you want, is I want to say it was 32 Thoughts. It was Friedman who mentioned that what Michkov was really saying to teams was he wanted to be in a market where the people cared. And what was it? A bigger market?
Cared about a market that wanted to win and a market that cared about the game of hockey. You're describing
so you're right. And so the justification for not there's no justification to me for not taking Michkov at 5. Like, I don't understand how we're talking about Michkov. I get it. The there's the Russian contract scenario. There's I don't know what else there is outside of there. How many, like, we're talking about people mentioned the downside of his game. He's 18 years old, first of all. He's 18 years old. I'm telling you, he'll get better.
Hey, Alex.
You'll figure it out.
He's in a men's league. He's doing well.
Hey,
he has one of the best draft years in Russia compared to Alexander Ovechkin.
Just quick question. Does anyone care that Ovechkin doesn't play defense? I'll just leave that there.
Right.
Yeah.
The way people are talking about Matej Michkov is so counterintuitive. You'd think he doesn't want to come to the NHL, but on multiple occasions now, including from his agent, we've heard that he wants to come over.
The Flyers shut down their facility to secretly talk to him. Like, guys, come on.
You knew he was coming. You knew he's coming.
He came to the draft.
I think it's the fact, and we all know what this is. Let's not pretend we don't know what the Matej Michkov thing is. I'm not going to say where he's from, but let's just put 2 and 2 together here.
The Habs drafted a Russian who then signed a 3-year contract in the KHL. So it's like, okay. So we can wait for this 20-year-old, but not the super talented 18-year-old. Okay, cool. Weird. Okay.
Yeah,
he was coming.
Yeah. I know different circumstances globally, especially right now, but again, Pittsburgh took Evgeny Malkin 2nd overall.
Oh, God,
they had to wait for him. There was the lockout, I know that, but also he didn't come right away.
People have to look up the Malkin story. It's a very fascinating one for hockey fans. I hate this team. Like, I'm actually I don't want to hate Reinbacher because he's going to be a great player. Like, he is.
Yeah.
But it's just the fact that Michkov was there and the miss thing is going to unfairly follow that player for the rest of his career. That's the big problem here. And what I don't like is management then saying, do you know what? The negative attention is probably what doesn't help people wanting to come to Montreal. and I have never felt more insulted as a fan in my entire life. Now, I'm not condoning people referring to him as a former
German chancellor.
I don't want to say the name, but everyone saw the tweet. Again,
actually, I didn't see the tweet.
World War II. People like I am not in any way, shape, or form condoning that kind of stuff. Words can't describe how messed up in the head you are to send that kind of stuff to an 18-year-old. Like you are actually like there is something wrong with you. Like seriously. So it's just blaming your fan base for.
Sorry, can you explain what it? I didn't see this.
I didn't
Would
see
you mind
either.
explaining what happened?
An Athletic article had it where someone from the Canadiens management team, unnamed, quoted the negative attention that David Reinbacher was getting as a factor that could stop free agents coming to Montreal.
Welcome to Canada.
To which I said, have you ever been involved in a sports franchise ever?
In Canada.
No, just not even just them. Like Formula One reference. How much shit does Lewis Hamilton get?
Right.
How many? I'm sorry. I'm not condoning stuff like that, but then blaming your fans for like stop it. Because then what you're doing as a team is then you're all of a sudden bringing all of the fan base together. I'm not tweeting crap like that at him.
And it's making excuses.
Yeah, exactly. Guy, I'm sorry to say this, but like this is a fact, and this is the Canadians who, after they fired Bergeron, saying we're going to do great and put this like mental health medical team together. Guys, I hate to say this because it's an ugly part of reality in 2023, but we need to face the facts that like negativity and like the world of social media is the way it is, and nothing's going to change that. So the fact that you are then going to say, hey there, guys, because you know what? I'm sure no one ever signed with the Dallas Cowboys because of negative fans. Guys, like the reason no one wants to come and play in Montreal is for the taxes. Like, let's be honest here. And the stuff of like whatever's going on with the language bill and all that stuff and every Canadian thing. And like, let's be honest, Zach Bogosian could still be a Leaf if, all the lockdown stuff didn't happen. So don't you dare try and blame the fan base for that.
That was personal. That was personal.
Yeah, I know. I needed to bring it together. Though. If I have this pain right now for another goddamn draft year.
Yeah. And then once we get to Anaheim, we'll bring up Alex Killorn. Don't worry, Daniel. He's coming after you.
Dumb contract.
Whatever.
Should we just do that now? Are we all done with thinking?
We could segue into it with I don't know my Leo Carlsson thoughts. I was very happy that he wanted to be a Duck. He had all those videos of him. I loved it. I like that he did it in both languages, both English and in Swedish. And
is it true? Apparently, he has like a stutter.
I don't know. I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. I thought it was like he sounded fine to me.
I thought I saw someone on Twitter being like, "Here's this interview of him doing different language," and apparently he had a speech thing. I could be wrong, but I thought I saw that.
How much of a reach is it?
Carl?
It's surprising, but is it as much of a reach as the gas?
Listen, Adam Fantilli wanted to go to Columbus, so
sure he did.
It's okay. He did that video. I don't know. Maybe Mike Babcock was like standing behind the camera.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Can I just say, by the way, I think something I noticed right away watching the draft, the moment Bedard gets taken, did you see who went over and shook his hand?
Adam Fantilli.
Yes.
And then when Leo Carlsson gets taken, who goes and shakes his hand?
Can you please read what I wrote in the doc?
Are you going to make a Shane Wright comment?
In the doc? Wait, hold on.
About Adam Fantilli.
Oh,
hold on. God. I like Fantilli. Adam is a man. Oh, okay. Fantilli is a man from a good family.
Yes.
I agree. And then he had on his suit vest all the names of his teachers and all that.
Yeah.
That
sounds like a Mike Babcock type of guy, He's a man from a good family.
He generally seems like a good kid, which is weird because he looks older than me, and I'm 24. And
he was meant to go to Columbus then, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, the Carlson, I would have been shocked if he fell past 3 to begin with. I don't think it's
yeah.
I wonder if Carlson played in Canada, and I know Fantilli was an NCAA guy, but let's not forget World Junior time around that. I think Fantilli's stock really, really grew. And I don't. People can say whatever they want. We don't pay as much of attention to the overseas guys as we should.
Sure.
I just don't. I just don't believe it. But I don't think it's that big of a It was
No.
the reaction from the crowd made it feel like when Sider got taken by Detroit, but it should nowhere have been that big of a reaction. Still
Yeah.
held
So
up
it wasn't
better.
as big a reaction as the Montreal fans face when they picked Jesperi Kotkaniemi.
Oh yeah, that one was
That was
and
classic.
he was right.
No,
He was right.
she was,
Yeah.
but it was still a
Yeah.
classic face.
I mean, what I liked about the pick was his comparables. Worst comes to worst, like a lot of the scouts said, he'd be like a Philip Forsberg, where I don't mind.
That's pretty good.
Like a high level for Philip Forsberg, but coming into the draft, like you could be like an Evgeny Malkin, a big center that's very skilled. So yeah, I don't know. I know it was a bit of a shock. It's funny when you were sending me those texts about the pick. I actually wasn't at the Blue Jays game, so I just kept getting the updates from you guys. I wasn't looking at my phone until like I saw it. I'm like, oh, okay, you know what? It's fine. I remember I mentioned Adam Fantilli so many times because he was in the mold of what you think a prototypical Ducks pick would be like.
Mm-hmm.
But the more I sit with it, the more I think it's okay. I mean, I like that there's this new direction of the team. And also, Mason McTavish kind of fits that already in a way.
Yeah, I think he has a year or two left in Sweden, if I remember correctly. So it's still going to be a couple painful years in Anaheim.
See, why did that not prevent him from slipping, though? I mean, I know a different situation. I know a different situation.
Yo, McTavish, Seagrass, and Carlson's a pretty good group to have.
Someone's playing wing.
Yeah, Seagrass maybe.
Probably Seagrass.
Yeah. I think projection wise, best center. Nothing wrong with that. It's just Seagrass may be the face of the team, but skill wise, he's probably going to be the third best of those three. Yeah. Okay, I need to know what the Ducks were thinking in free agency since we're here. I know we have a thing later where we want to get to signing stuff, but I can't let this go. So before we get to the bigger one, they give 33-year-old Radko Gudas a 3-year deal at $4 million per. And then they go to 33-year-old Alex Killorn, give him a 4-year deal at $6.2 million. Now, off the top of my head, I'm wondering, maybe not. It could be close, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because Orlov was only a 2-year deal. Did Alex Killorn get the biggest deal of free agency? And I am ignoring the fact that Sorokin was an extension because it was an extension.
Yeah. Of pure free agent signings, I think he might have.
Yeah, he might have been. Yeah.
One. But I think I found the answer to the question, though, Adam.
Oh.
Okay.
The Anaheim Ducks have 4 RFAs to sign. Troy Terry, Trevor Zegras, Jamie Drysdale, and Lucas Dostal.
Wait, this offseason?
Right now. They have $28 million in cap space. This signing was the classic NHL GM mode signing, as was Perry and Foligno, and I'm sure we'll get to it.
Yeah. And Eric Berger-Dofer for our game. Remember that?
Yes.
We get him 8x7.
We need to pay him a lot. Pardon?
Gesundheit? What did you just say?
No, because remember when we were playing in our own GM mode, and then we're like, oh, we're not even hitting the cap floor, and then there's a guy named Eric Berger-Dofer. I think Alex gave him a 1-year, $9.5 million contract.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised.
We needed to hit the cap floor.
We did that with Justin Pogge too, didn't we?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Oh, we were crazy lads. Do you guys want to quickly mention best value and worst overpays, and starting with the overpays because negativity?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Daniel, why don't you go ahead since I just ripped the team that you love doing a lot of bad stuff?
Honestly, yeah. I'm gonna just stick with Alex Killorn. I know the type of value he brings to the team, but it's those type of contracts where I would have been happy if it was a 2 or 3 year deal because you already had Ryan Strome kind of fitting in that same type of role. I think that it's a guy that could still play at a high level, but someone you kind of need to, he's basically like the Taylor Hall as he is in Chicago. You just need someone to play with your prospects. And this is a team that expects to be bad for a while. You still have to pay your RFAs, and I just don't really like the length on it.
Fair enough. Alex, who are your losers here?
it's kind of hard to not pick Alex Kohler. It's just such an odd deal. You know what I mean? It's like, how could you? I don't know how to justify it.
Okay, so I have two.
Okay.
Okay, first off, like this one team I can't get too mad at because I believe they're both 1 year deals. However, actually, no, one is a 3 year deal. Now, there is no team. Oh, God, who was it? I think it was Craig Button said that the Vancouver Canucks are the best when it comes to scraping the barrel of third pair defensemen. They needed a top four guy, so they give Ian Cole a 1 year deal at $3 million, then give Carson Soucy a 3 year deal at $3.2 million. Oh, and by the way, he has a no trade clause, a 12-team no trade clause.
So there was a lot of players who got no trade clauses. I don't understand it. It feels like there was a lot of them.
Man,
like Travis Hamonic got a no trade clause.
Did he?
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I saw that.
Maybe that's trying to. Listen, man. These aren't the worst contracts ever because, listen, there's a lot of 2, 1, 3 year deals in this free agency because everyone's waiting for the cap to go up. But there is another one that I just need to somehow justify. In a year where term was very, very rare, the New York Islanders, not only, you're speaking of trade clauses, did they give this player a 16-team no trade list for the entirety of this 7 year deal, but they gave it a $21 million AAV $3 million 7-year deal to Pierre Engvall. I just don't know how you did it.
That's such a loose contract, isn't it?
Let's talk about this. Are the people who love Lou Lamoriello done?
Well, it's like, listen, this isn't as bad as like Casey Zizekas, but it's still kind of bad.
Or protecting, who was it?
They lost Jordan Eberle.
Protecting Matt Martin in the expansion draft.
Yeah,
like this has to be the line, right?
Like, why? I just
for the Leaf fans who love Lou Lamoriello, this has to be the line.
You know who else got a 7-year deal, by the way? 30-year-old Scott Mayfield. Do you
that one surprised me a lot too. What?
Do you?
Yeah, he got 7 years.
See this?
I didn't know he got 7 years.
Yeah, 3.5 per 7 years. He has a no trade clause. The following players have trade protections, by the way. Simeon Varlamov, who re-signed 4 years at $35 million. At 35 years old, he got a 4-year deal, 35 plus contract, 16-team no trade clause. Mayfield has trade protection. Pellick and Pulak have trade protection. You can excuse that, though. They're good. They're unconfirmed for Carson Kuhlmans, who has a 1-year deal, but, who cares? Modified no trade clause for Engvall, Palmieri, Pajot, Nelson, Lee, and Horvat. I love how awful, by the way, Bo Horvat, like, man, that contract does not immediately look bad. I just don't get what the Islanders, they're the only team this offseason who gave out term.
No. 2 other general managers did the same.
Who am I forgetting?
Well, Steve Yzerman gave 5 years to JT Compher for whatever reason.
And he gave 3 years to Justin Hall.
He gave 3 years to Justin Hall. Thank you, Daniel. At $3.4 million.
He saw the 2 worst, most hated defensemen in the Atlantic Division in Ben Sherratt last year, and Justin Hall, and thought, I need those guys.
And then another general manager gave some term. Kyle Dubas.
Oh, yeah.
6 years for Ryan Graves. 5 years for Tristan Jarry.
So I don't hate Graves. Jarry, I was like, that is a friend of mine who's a Pens fan, and even she was like, that's a bit of a Jarry scares me.
I don't know the justification for 5 years unless it's first off, I don't know what you're trading to get a goalie. The cupboards are kind of thin at the moment. I mean, you can give up first round picks. That's
Samuel Poulin,
but I guess that's your only option. Like, I don't know, but 5 years at 5.3
and a 12-team no trade list.
Yeah,
you can never forget. So they signed Will Butcher. Does that mean Erik Karlsson's officially off the table for them, by the way?
Oh, that's what did it, was Will Butcher.
Yeah, well, because they still technically could do it as long as Petrie and probably Jeff Carter are going the other way. It's just Petrie's trade protection. I would imagine Carter's as well is going to get in the way.
I don't know the
So, but San Jose takes 50% retained?
No, they have to.
They'd have to take all of it and still to make it realistic, 20% of Carlson. Like Carson's going to get retained, but I just wonder if that keeps them out of it
to play the wing. Like what's he coming to Pittsburgh to do?
Somebody has to try that. I will not get off the campaign of making Carlson a forward.
I just don't know how it works. I think it's it's wild, but it's this. Yeah.
By the way, I was shooting the crap saying Carlson to Carolina, and it may happen. I called it. I don't know how you justify that when you traded for Brett Burns because it didn't work in San Jose. I don't know. Play the wing. Who's gonna if it works? Like Doug Wilson never gets a job again, right? Because if it couldn't work with him, Mike Greer's only just gotten there, so it's a bit fair. So it's if Doug Wilson, whatever coach it was, because what's his name is in where's David Quinn? No, David Quinn's there now. Who's the former? Bugner doesn't have a job, or he's an assistant, maybe. Can't remember.
Yeah,
because they fired him at the end of one summer, and it was that's not cool. Yeah. Who was before their current one? And Bugner. Doesn't matter. Okay, sorry, I derailed that, but
no, not Tom McLennan.
So Brady Shea stays with Burns or Carlson, and then what?
Jacob Slavin.
Sorry, Slavin, and then but then Shea plays with the other one. Because
unless they're keeping Pesci, but I just don't see that happening.
Especially they bring back Erik Karlsson, and if they do sign Vladimir Tarasenko, who has a new agent as of today.
Yes, he does.
Is it okay? This might, and Adam, I know you're probably going to get upset, but
I don't like the idea of signing him.
Tarasenko?
Yeah, I don't. Not for Carolina.
What?
No,
that is exactly what they need, though.
5 years ago, maybe.
I think there's more of a justification to sign Vladimir Tarasenko. It's not going to be a long-term deal. We all know that. Then bring in Erik Karlsson at $11 million or $9 million.
I just if I'm them,
there's no guarantee you're getting 100-point Erik Karlsson. We know that. Know that.
Yeah,
You're either getting that Erik Karlsson or you're getting half that. So there's no in between.
The reason I don't like Tarasenko for them is I think that's putting duct tape over a leaky pipe because he's a little older now. If I'm them, and Carolina never freaking do this, but splash out the assets and the money to get a divine goal scorer, but they never will.
And is there one on the market?
There would have to be a guy via trade that we're not thinking of. William Nylander?
Saying.
So
what's the trade for that?
We haven't recorded since the award show, by the way. So if I may, by the way, Erik Karlsson is a 3-time Norris Trophy winner, baby. Let's go. Who cares about defense? And shout out to that one Pittsburgh rider who had McDavid 5th on his MVP ballot. What you doing, bro? I found his Twitter, and man, that guy was getting flamed. But Erik Karlsson moved down. Bobby Orr's down to 3 now. Erik Karlsson 2. Nick Lidstrom 1. Let's go. Erik Karlsson.
He did it.
Defense. Norris Trophy winner. My guy. Woo.
Ageless wonder.
Yeah, man. I told you he was back, and no one believed me. I feel like I had more faith in Erik Karlsson than anyone on the San Jose Sharks.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
And now he finally wants a trade.
Yeah,
after 3 years, of I'm staying, I'm gonna win.
Listen, man,
was it a Timo Meier trade?
Points this year. He can't do anything more.
Let's not pretend like he walked into the season looking at the cap friendly and saying, "Wow, this is a team that could win," and then having the quote of "I want to be on a contending team." Listen, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying maybe he should speak his words a little bit.
Didn't he say a Timo Meier trade was kind of the last straw for him? Do you remember that?
Oh, that was the last straw?
Apparently, yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Erik Karlsson has done his part, and who else here would turn down a $92 million contract?
No, I'm not suggesting that. All I'm suggesting is don't come out and say I want to play for a contending team when you look at the cap friendly after signing an $11 million contract per year, and then tell me about contending.
Erik Karlsson has done his part.
I'm not saying he hasn't, but you can't come out and complain in the situation that he's in.
where do we want to go from here? We're not going to get through everything, by the way. So I think we
No.
may have. Excuse me.
We'll pick and choose.
Yeah, we gotta. Matt Duchene gets bought out. That's. Oh,
We-
wait a minute. We gotta talk about Nashville because so they move Ryan Johansson after taking half of his deal. They buy out Matt Duchene, and listen, the way their day started. Listen, Ryan O'Reilly at his current contract, I think with it, it's only $500,000 more than Ryan Johansson makes technically.
Yeah,
Term
4.5.
was a little rich for me, but with that AAV, I'm like, that's not awful. However,
Can I just say he's their highest paid forward right now?
Philip Forsberg.
Oh, is he on IR?
I know because he's on IR.
He's
so
on
I don't
IR,
see
yeah.
it.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. He's their
So-
second highest paid forward.
we go to that. It wasn't, but then as the day went on, I'm like, what is you doing? Gustav Nyquist gets a 2-year deal at $3.1 million, which is like, I don't think you need to do that.
Mhm.
Then go to defense. I forgot Tyson Barrie. I forgot he was a Predator. That's really weird. Luke Shen gets the 3-year deal at $2.7 million. It's just they gave out a lot of like these weird, like, what are we doing here? Like, you cleared up the space from Johansson and that. Again, the Kyle Turris buyout is still in effect for 5 more years. I didn't know it was that bad. It feels very much that they're going for a culture thing right now, but it was just kind of, I just didn't really get it. You know what I
And
mean?
they have
It's just-
$9 million in cap space.
So it's not like they're doing bad right now. It's just very, it's just weird to me.
Yeah.
The Gustav Nyquist one I don't really get. And it's 2 years. Like I feel like that'll be minimal if there's a guy who's going to take his spot, they can trade him this trade deadline if they wanted to. I actually really like the Ryan O'Reilly one.
Yeah.
For what he's gonna bring on the ice and off the ice. I think he's older, but I still think he can take minutes away from younger guys if you don't think they're ready yet. In a way, you can shelter the younger guys. Like I get it, he's 32, but I don't think he's astronomically old. It's not like, I don't know, pick an older guy. Like it's not like you're running an old man as a first line sheltering man. Like it's Ryan O'Reilly. He's going to get the job done. And I guess off the ice too, maybe he's not the most vocal guy, but I don't mind him having him around. Luke Shen, I get the term, maybe I don't get the dollars. Listen, they have the cap space. I guess who gives a crap? Like that would be the justification.
I can't believe the Leafs couldn't match that. I was pretty disappointed.
Maybe there was just stuff from there was enough interest from other teams. We
Sure.
know people wanted Luke Shen and that type of player.
Yeah.
And it's the tax of I played in Toronto and I got a lot of attention. So like I get it. Man, so there's just so much I'm remembering as we're going here. Was anyone else a little taken aback that the team decided Michael Bunting was the Hurricanes, by the way?
No,
I wasn't
I'm not
expecting
surprised.
that.
I wasn't expecting that either.
I wasn't expecting it, but I'm not surprised.
Okay.
Don't you think he's gonna love playing for Rod Brind'Amour?
That's gonna work out and it's gonna be sickening for Leafs fans. They also signed Dmitry Orlov, by the way, 2 years, and they also re-upped their normal their goaltending tandem from last year.
The trio?
Yeah.
The trio's back.
Well, Kukuchekov was already
Yeah,
signed,
I know, but
right?
they're back.
Yeah, which is I don't get it, but anyway, the Pierre-Luc Dubois saga is done. Thank God. Goes to LA. Great. I'm happy for you, man. Oh, it was a dream to play for the LA Kings.
What do you guys think about the trade?
Well, I'm setting it up still.
Sorry.
So,
I'm impatient.
because I'm stalling because I have to get cap friendly up because I didn't have the contract.
I have.
Okay.
I
It's
have.
an 8-year. I got it.
Okay, you got it.
It's an 8-year deal, $8.5 million per. The trade, I mean, I don't hate it. They get Alex Iafallo, they get Rasmus Kupari, they get Gabe Velarde, who they are going to arbitration with, and a second-round pick in 2024, which, funny enough, that pick originally belonged to the Montreal Canadiens.
From what?
What do you guys think?
What was
I don't know.
Oh, was it
no
the
idea where that's from.
Arizona trade? No.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think.
Oh,
then-
yes.
Because
then
it was
that
the
would've
Sean
been-
Dursey.
Sean Dursey.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
got
Going to
because
Arizona.
yes,
Yeah.
Arizona. Yeah, so from
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Dvorak trade. Okay, yeah, that's
so I
yeah.
listen. I mean, I don't know. I still can't justify 8.5, but I guess at an 8-year deal, the cap's going to be who the hell cares? Like no one's going to care.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, great.
I really like the deal though. Like considering they had extremely limited leverage, they really were working against two teams. It was Winnipeg, it was LA and Montreal. And then by the end of it, it was just LA. And I would argue like they didn't get a haul back, but they definitely got two relatively, they're not the youngest guys in Kupari and Velarde, but seasoned prospects is what I'll call them. A nice addition in Alex Iafallo and a second round pick. Like a decent haul for a guy who you really were trading to one team by the end of it.
Yeah, it's for a guy that didn't want to stay. I like the value there, and I was a bit apprehensive, especially with so many moving pieces and the number of players that didn't want to stay in Winnipeg long term. They were able to do what they wanted and get guys that can get into the lineup right away. You're not building from the ground up, and you're still staying relatively, you know, not competitive. I'll say competent as a team with the Jets. So that's what it is. It's a lot of money. I think we had this, Alex. Was the range for Pierre-Luc Dubois, but
Yeah.
still a young center. It's still a guy that they believe the best has yet to come, I think, with him.
Not hard to assume.
Yeah.
He keeps quitting on teams.
So just I guess it is what it is. Like I think the Jets did the best they could for a guy that they did really well for a guy that didn't want to stay.
I hate Pierre-Luc Dubois so much.
I'm so glad we don't have to talk about it.
I so am. It was getting so annoying. Listen, they get the guy who's going to replace Anze Kopitar for the next few years. Like, let's just be honest. Like, that's how this is going to go.
I don't like that.
I can't wait for if I ever go to a Kings Habs game to boo him, for wasting everyone's time. Yeah, I hope playing for the Kings is as much of a dream as you say it is. And man, I can't wait for you to request a trade in 3 years. Yeah. So I think a trade that marked the reaction to me, and I think we all kind of thought Ryan O'Reilly was going to head back to the Blues until now that trade that did not happen, that was maybe going to include multiple players between the Flyers and the Blues and stuff about Torrey Krug maybe shutting it down. Parts of that trade still came, aka just Kevin Hayes retained for a 6th-round pick in next year's draft from the Flyers to St. Louis. Listen, Kevin Hayes was an all-star last year, which I know means not a lot to a lot of people. He still had like 50-odd points, and all of a sudden he's going to a much more competitive team. Now, the Blues had their own problems last year, but now they have a player like this for, I think it's 3 more years at $3.5 million. I think that's tidy business, actually, from Armstrong for the Blues. I don't hate that at all.
And I think he just needed he just needed a change of scenery. Like it was the last year was tough.
He just couldn't be around Tortorella.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always just one of those guys. You know what I mean? Every year, there's always one of those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is.
Oh god, yeah. Nick Foligno and Corey Perry signed big 1-year deals with Chicago. I was really hoping Corey Perry was gonna. So I knew it wasn't gonna happen, but I really wanted him back in Montreal. But instead, he's just gonna, I guess, beat up anyone who tries to mess with Connor Bedard. Staying with Nick Foligno because leadership.
They get their money.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah, Taylor Hall's a Blackhawk now, by the way, because weird.
The cap dump.
And now they're gonna win every lottery because everyone's been making that joke to death. Oh boy,
that's true. That's true.
I had something in my head that I was about to mention, but it's just completely. Oh yeah, crap. Alex Newhook is a Montreal Canadian.
Oh yes,
he is.
Now this is actually kind of a funny trade when you look at everything here. So, Daniel, I think last time we recorded, you and I jokingly talked about Gianni Fairbrother. He's no longer part of the organization because roster spots. But Montreal do give up a 1st-rounder, that being the Florida one from Ben Sherratt, and their own 2nd-rounder. I'm not gonna lie, don't love giving up the second rounder for Newhook. He is an RFA. But essentially what this is, it's the same ideals as Kirby Dach, where a young player maybe not doing great in his current situation, and well, they're hoping that in Montreal system will become something special. I don't hate the bet, but I do personally think it's a bit more of a bet than Kirby Dach. Again,
Yeah,
essentially
Yeah.
a second rounder and Ben Sherratt stuff. I don't hate it, but I don't know why losing that 20 the second kind of bothers me. But I've seen worse trades, and I like Newhook.
is it bad to say I don't really understand from Montreal's side of things? I don't really understand this deal at all. I don't get. I don't get why you needed again. And we talked about Mitch. When you have the option there to take him at 5 and you go the day before and do this, I don't really understand the justification behind this deal, because to me, yeah, sure, it's similar to what you did with Kirby Dach, but in this case you gave up a first and a second for Alex Newhook, but last year you gave up Alex Romanov for Kirby Dach, essentially is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think Kirby Dach, again, 3rd overall pick. I think you knew the ceiling was a bit higher there. With Newhook, I see why you would take the bet, but that's a big bet to take, and it doesn't necessarily always work out. And I don't necessarily think you can just keep doing this. I was thinking of the Raptors comparison, and this is a completely different sport and a very, very, very different situation. But a lot of them, a lot of people say that they always take the guys that could have the upside, and they look at Pascal and they look at Fred, and it's like, yeah, but that happens every once in a while. That doesn't happen every time you do that. And in this case, you did it in back-to-back years. Kirby Dach really worked out. Former 3rd overall pick again, I say. And then you do it again with Newhook, but you give up a first and a second. I don't know. Feels like an unnecessary risk.
I think, yeah, it's a greater risk. Kirby Dach, even though he blossomed in Montreal, he was kind of like just what you said before, Alex, like a seasoned prospect. It was already kind of known what he offers to a team, and he's been able to, I guess, gauge more responsibility there. Alex Newhook, I think, was a lot more sheltered in Colorado. He is a player that hasn't been given a big role. They lost Nazem Kadri, and it was still JD Compher getting those top 6 center minutes. I use that as one example. Again, like, I don't like always saying this, but when it comes to the young guys and what you kind of want to get there for a guy that needs a new change of scenery, I think Kirby Dach just had more going for him in terms of size, in terms of just that NHL size of what you wanted out of a center. And it did still kind of feel like an overpay for me too. Like, you've kind of convinced me to kind of think like, yeah, that second, especially in this draft, would have been a lot more valuable. I could understand if you don't see someone at 31 you don't necessarily like, but at 37 there was so much more possibilities.
And
So-
sorry.
No, sorry, go ahead.
No, and I think that's a good point, Daniel, about like the difference between these two guys and Dach and Newhook and the opportunities. Like, you look at Kirby Dach and the opportunities he was given, not necessarily the best environment. Chicago wasn't great, but with Newhook, it's like you were given the opportunities with some really good players and you weren't able to hold it. And I get it. They were trying to compete and it's a different situation. But you weren't able, to me, it was like you weren't able to hold it. And I would have thought, and I could be completely wrong, that he had the bit of the advantage there. First round pick, relatively young, play on the wing. But it just like I felt at times he wasn't able to stick there. Again, I could be completely wrong come the end of the year. Call me silly. Like, I'm down to be wrong.
So he might be like, okay, these are two options I think we have. He's either going to be a Kirby Dach story, Alex Newhook, or he's going to be a Tyson Jost story.
I hope not. So here are the two things I would say to counter it. So first off, So looking at the Kirby, I'd actually argue they gave up more for Kirby Doc than this because I'm looking at it. Montreal, so originally they acquired pick 13 from the Islanders for Romanov and pick 98. Kirby Doc, they then gave up to get him, they gave up pick 66 and pick 13. So I don't hate having to give up pick 31, and then that would have been like 36, maybe. So I don't hate the cost. Looking at it is cheaper than Kirby Doc, at least in my eyes. Now,
Is it?
I'm not surprised they did it for a few reasons. I think what the Canadians look at is maybe the player they could have gotten there and instead compared it to what could have become or like what they see in Newhook. And I'd say I think the reason they got him, and it's funny, the guys at the Athletic, well, now it's just Harp and Basu, unfortunately, actually talked about some of the trade targets that they think the Canadians would go after, and Newhook was there. I think what you see with Newhook is, I think his style of play, like his speed, like his skill and speed, he's the profile of player that the Canadians are looking to bring in. And going to like what was working in Colorado. Listen, if I have my confidence shaken right now in Kent Hughes, I do not have that shaken in Martin St. Louis. Martin St. Louis. What am I doing? And St. Louis was actually doing some media, and he was saying about Newhook is the expectations in Montreal compared to Colorado. Obviously, we just saw them. You know what? They had just won the Cup. Maybe the standards and the level and room for error for Newhook is going to be, he can make a lot more mistakes and really grow more in Montreal compared to the expectations he might have in Colorado. Sure. I think that's a fair argument.
For sure.
Now, then again, this guy needs to hit and be a really good top 6 contributor. Again, I'm going to concede that it is a bigger bet than Kirby Doc, but I can see why they did it, and I like some of the reasoning. It's just...
But does he fit in the top 6 right now?
Well, here's the thing is they got to make a move because even if they want to at least try him at center, and let's say like they just for the hell of it, Kirby Doc starts at wing and he's back on the top line next year, Christian Dvorak's still kind of there. And I think
he's
did
injured,
sort of...
right?
Dvorak?
Is what I read.
Man, everyone's always hurt there. Well, they did get some new medical staff, but I don't think anyone's super interested to hear that on the podcast. But like even when he's back, I actually didn't know he was hurt. But anyway, even with him, they have a lot of centers. But I think they did talk about committing to having him in the top 6. Because otherwise, I would be, if they did it, God help me, Alex, if there is a time when Armia and Hoffman start getting top 6 chances, and I swear to God they move Newhook down to the 3rd line, I will come on this podcast and I will lose my goddamn mind. Right. Because giving up essentially picks, like 7 picks within each other, I will be so mad. But I'm not in love with it. I don't hate it. But yeah, it's a weird time to be a Habs fan. Because I'm trying to also look at this trade away from my blinding rage of Reinbacher. But I've seen trades I hate more in that. But
it's not the worst trade. It's just the bet.
No, it's just
I look at.
It is a bet. It objectively is a bet, and they like young players that maybe are going to be further along in development, and I'm all for that. But let's just not sacrifice all the assets. Again, forward wise, they need elite talent. Let's just get to it. Let's talk about the Leafs. Do not disturb, God damn it. And let's open with this. So right now, a lot of the headlines around the Leafs are around William Nylander.
That Easton Cowan?
Do you want to? We're in the draft.
No, we'll do William Nylander
Easton
first.
Cowan?
We'll do William
Buddy,
Nylander first.
I won't lie. Couldn't tell you a single word about him.
Yeah, I think if you're a team and a fan base like the Leafs, you don't really care about who they drafted first. It's kind of like we got stuff to do right now, and a lot of headlines, including the fact that per Chris Johnson, it's not going well between the Leafs and Nylander right now. Apparently, the Pierre-Luc Dubois stuff put Nylander's money up, aka he wants 10. I think what the Leafs want him around 8 or 9, Alex?
8.5.
Yeah, they counted 8.5.
Listen, there's a lot around the fact of how does Austin Matthews, whenever he signed, affect this?
Oh my God!
I
leave me alone. Sorry, not you, Adam. I'm not mad at you.
Yeah. Otherwise, you wouldn't be on this Zoom call.
Yeah, I'm so done with. I'm really exhausted of. We're gonna watch what this guy takes. okay, all right, we're going to do this again. We're going to have it another time. And only in this market could we love when our guys get paid. You know, when McDavid took $1 million less, he took 12 and a half instead of 13 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Were people upset that he took $1 million less?
No.
Okay. Like,
No,
what are we doing? What are we doing in this city? Can I ask these rich snobs? What are we doing? Is that what we like? You know, for a city that's so down bad at the moment, they had to get a new mayor. I don't live in Toronto, not my problem. They had to get a new mayor.
I forgot.
Let's be real. The city hasn't been at its peak for quite some time, but we're gonna worry that Austin Matthews and William Nylander get their money. And then when Mitch Marner comes around and needs to get his money, we're going to make sure he gets his money too.
Yeah, we got sick of
Pierre-Luc
Dubois. Like, the next year of Leafs coverage is going to be awful.
I want to run through a wall. Like, enough.
Leave
me not in a good way. Like, it's adrenaline, but not for the same reasons as like
the aggression
someone else.
Yeah.
It's so unbelievably annoying that we're doing this again. Just decide. What are we doing? I don't want to hear, like, I read today someone said that the Leafs were shopping TJ Brody. Are they? Enough. Stop making crap up. No one cares. Maybe they do. I don't care. I don't believe you. I don't care. Unless you have some cold, hard facts, kick it to the curb. No one wants to read it. That might be mean, but like I'm so tired. How many years did we do it for? 2? I had to hear about William Nylander. It's like the clock. It's like what did it's like CP24 chasing Kawhi. Do we need a countdown clock? Like what? Should I go on the Sportsnet website and it's like countdown to William Nylander extension? Leave me alone. Stop. I don't care anymore.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Because then we do need to quickly talk about their off season as a whole, because there are some signings. Like day one of free agency, the Toronto's day 2 was like, whoa, this is a complete 180. Like they went from like step back in our tier list to all of a sudden like, oh, okay, this is quite spicy. Now, what are you comfortable paying William Nylander?
No more than $9 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not
an emphasis on the no more. If it's 9,
can't have his jersey number in it.
Listen, I'm not gonna be pissed off that his jersey number is in it. I'm not gonna lose my mind over it. It's just gonna be like, this is what we're fighting over. It's like pettiness. Like, are you in high school? Is the NHL high school? That's my question. I'm just asking.
Mean if I say a lot of the athletes probably have the education of
that's me.
You're not wrong.
Me. You're not wrong, but that might be a little mean. Might be. Hey, not the NCAA guys.
I mean, is it not like the biggest deal when NCAA prospects are like, I'm going to do the full 4 years, guys?
Yeah. It's like, oh my God, you're getting an education? Oh my God. You're getting an education? Shame on you.
Oh, man. So 9.
Most. Under this pay structure, that's just what's happening. On the open market, he'd get more. Is that fair?
Especially if it has the big bump next year, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
Right, but 9.
Yeah. It's about 40 goals. That's nothing to kind of ignore.
Okay, let's put it like this. Let's put it in this perspective. How much does Matthew Tkachuk make?
Was it 9.5?
He does. So what's the justification? Like, let's be real. Matthew Tkachuk knew there was going to be a bump when he signed his $9.5 million AAV deal.
Yeah.
What's the justification to be paid more than Matthew Tkachuk?
I can give you 2 reasons. Or 2 reasons
William Nylander?
that him and his camp would go to.
Go ahead.
Number one, different time, COVID, now escrow's thingy, the cap is going
Give
up.
Me a
you
break.
could argue that.
Yeah, but we all knew the cap was going up. Matthew Tkachuk knew it too.
But then who's Nylander's agent?
Louis Gross.
If I was Louis Gross, I'd say, well, that's him and this is us.
Why do I know his agent's name?
And
You're
the
an
second
insider,
thing
that's
would
why.
be if he has a career year, this, and you could probably say something around like, of all these guys, who's been your most consistent playoff performer in a market that's always so anxious about playoff stuff. I don't know. That's what maybe he tries to go for.
I'll rebut you.
I'm not Alex. I'm not Dave Poulin who says he's better than Mitch Marner, because when I watched that clip happen, I was watching Trade Center when he said that. So I got Trade Center, Free Agent Frenzy, and I said out loud to my mom, I must have missed the part when William Nylander was all of a sudden a Selke finalist. I'm not saying it's the worst thing ever if he gets 10 million, but like let's calm down about how good
it's a lot.
It can't happen in this city. Is William Nylander a 2-time 100-point man?
Now, how many points did he even have last year? Did he break 90?
William Nylander?
Yeah.
I'll double check, but I can tell you he doesn't have.
He was kind of cool at the end of the year because I needed him for
He had 87 points last year.
He has 87 points as a winger. Like, I heard people mention you can't give your second best winger 10 million. I was like, okay, hold on. I think that's
now when it's William Nylander
the wrong way, because I'm like, second best right winger, Marner's a bit, but it's like, I still think it's a little like, is 87 points as a winger, does that get you 10 million? I'm trying to think who are some wingers that make that much money. It's tough to see. It's tough to see.
The answer is no.
He could get it, but I guess for the salary structure in Toronto, it's really difficult to see that being justified.
Yep.
Unless Matthews takes less.
Screw off.
I only took 13 million for 3 years. Come on, Willie. Come on down.
No, and let's talk about that.
That's not a discount, by the way.
The gushing. Oh my God, I'm so mad about the gushing over this man taking 5 years. Oh my God. Get out. Whose side are you on? Who pays the bills? Because I'm pretty sure it's not Austin Matthews.
Hey, Alex, can I ask you one thing? Oh, hello? Okay, sorry.
I'm here. Sorry, I'm just upset.
So Brad Treliving made the point of saying, they don't want, or was it him or Craig Conroy that were like, they would do things differently with Johnny Gaudreau? Are you at all concerned?
Well, both of them kind of said that.
Okay.
In ways.
Are you concerned that Brad Treliving will see that and there will be extra pressure and it could be a negotiating point against him? No, I don't think it's as critical as we can and we will. That was like legendary, all-time, legacy defining. But do you think there is I shouldn't say Treliving, will there be a thing of a mentality within him, MLSC, and Brandon Shanahan to make sure Willie stays?
Well, it's different. With Willie, it's one thing. With Matthews, it's a completely different beast.
Mm-hmm.
With Matthews, it's like, I don't know. With William Nylander, it's an easy question. Do you want to be a Toronto Maple Leaf? Brad, when you had your introductory press conference, what did he say? What did Brad say?
Core four anymore.
It can't be about the core four anymore. So when you walk into those negotiations, and listen, I know nothing. I've never negotiated a contract of anywhere near that size.
Alex, come on. We negotiate contracts in 2-on podcasts all the time.
not for that much money, ever.
It's our training for those, yeah.
Do you want to be a Toronto Maple Leaf?
That's the question.
Mm-hmm. That's the question.
Of the episode.
Yeah, man.
Maybe.
Do you want to be a Leaf?
Do you want to be a Toronto Maple Leaf?
You want to be a Toronto?
I don't think it needs to be so complicated.
Daniel, would you like to add anything? Just because we are getting kind of we still have like 20 odd minutes, but
upset.
No, yeah,
I want to make sure we get to the
I'm
other.
very upset.
I like what Alex.
I want it to be known I'm
it,
very upset.
Again, like I called it on the doc, the 2.0 watch for Nylander, and we're gonna go through the rigors of it again. The trade scenarios. You're gonna see a lot of those. God. We're gonna see the comparables of what he wants to get, what he kind of views himself. I guess two things: as a Leaf and what his role is. If he really believes he can be that guy on another team, I don't think he can. I think he's a fantastic player, but I don't think he's a franchise player.
He's the Phil Kessel.
Yeah, he's the Phil Kessel. He's the Phil Kessel with actual centers.
Yeah.
That's just to the bottom. Like that's where I see it right now. I think we've reached a point, especially when we started this podcast too, just of type of player he's grown into, but an understanding of what we already know and see with him. So understand the value there and look at the comparables already. Like,
You think he's comparing himself to David Pasternak again?
yeah, I remember that.
I mean, we have the same stylist probably, but
Well, they're two friends, so I don't know.
yeah,
But
man.
Okay.
we'll see.
Two stylish
I'm
guys.
very upset.
Let's
Can we
quickly
talk about their additions? I'd love to do that.
Yeah, I was gonna get there. So
Thanks.
day one of free agency or leading up to it, a lot of people were kind of worried because the first sort of news that came in was David Kampf getting a 4-year deal at $2.4 million. Mr. Great penalty killer doesn't score a lot of goals, but when he does score, they are big. They are. Yeah. I'll say that he scores in the most hell of times. Maybe a bit rich, and then day one opens, and I think everyone sort of got a little nervous. Because on the back end, they did sign John Klingberg to a 1-year deal of $4.1 million. That was a little nuts. It was a little crazy. It was a little zesty, as much as we all, like him. And on top of that, they signed 36-year-old Ryan Reeves to a 3-year deal at $1.3 million. Do we want to talk about those deals before we get to the positivity? Because at this point, the Ryan Reeves stuff made me mad because I was incensed about it because I thought it was just stupid. But
I don't think the John Klingberg thing is as overly bad as people make it out to seem. I think if you look at listen, I know he plays no defense. I'm well aware. We talked about it plenty of times.
Yeah.
But the one thing the Leafs definitely lacked in previous years was actual offense from their decor, when the majority of it was coming from Morgan Rielly. It was a problem. Like, fine, John Klingberg's probably going to play on the second power play unit. Like, he's coming in at a different time than when Tyson Barrie came in. Like, I don't look at this, and I know people have been comparing it to that, but to me, it's like I look at it as very different situations. To me, when Tyson Barrie came in, he had about all the pressure in the world.
Yeah.
Because he was coming in a trade for Nazem Kadri.
And it was a right-hand shot.
Right-hand shot. John Klingberg's coming in. There's going to be pressure, absolutely, but nowhere near as the same. He's coming in as a free agent after a not great year in Anaheim / Minnesota, who he himself admitted was tough. Ryan Reeves, on the other hand, I don't get the term. I don't get the 3 years. Maybe you can justify the number because it's buriable. I don't get the 3 years at what it exactly is that you're trying to do. Like, were they not just battling it out against Minnesota? Like, who else was interested?
Here's what annoys me about Ryan Reeves is, do you remember the last team to beat the Vegas Golden Knights in a playoff series?
Pittsburgh. No, sorry.
The
Montreal.
Montreal Canadiens.
Mm-hmm.
So
sorry.
what I remember about the biggest games in those series?
He didn't play.
Ryan Reeves was on the bench.
Fine. Fair.
Like, I will also say, if Kyle Clifford and Wayne Simmons couldn't get out of this team what I'm assuming you want Ryan Reeves to bring, like here's the thing. How much of a help Ryan Reeves was to the Minnesota Wild? They were so great that they made it all the way to they lost in the first round to the Dallas Stars. I just don't.
No, but here's where it changed, and here's where I agree with the point when it's Ryan Reeves on his own. Until day 2 of free agency.
Okay, that is a fair point. I didn't think of that.
When you look at it on his own, 100%. That's why day 1 looked like an absolute nightmare.
Yeah,
like I remember I was at a wedding and I was talking about it with a couple of people. I go, just Ryan Reeves. Like, that's what? And again, it was just day 1.
Yeah.
Listen, he's going to be their 13th forward. He's not going to play every game. I promise you, I promise you, he's going to be a fan favorite. He's going to
Oh,
beat
yeah.
the living crap out of someone, and everyone's going to love it. And that's it. That's all people want. I promise you how easy it is to please people in this city.
I completely forgot about that
Yeah.
fact. That is a good point. I'll say this one thing about John Klingberg, by the way, and then I'll throw it to Daniel for his thoughts. For the love of God, don't put him on PP1 because no offense, John Klingberg is not a distributor. Guy's a shooter, and no offense, you're like the fifth person on that power play I want shooting the puck. No disrespect, but I'm like, remember how mad I used to get when Jeff Petrie would look off Cole Caulfield on the power play? It's 100 times worse if you're looking on map. But anyway, yeah, Daniel, your thoughts on day one?
Day one, yeah. I was kind of confused on what was going on. I think for the Leafs, I knew it. I kind of knew that a lot of their deadline guys that were pending were not going to come back. As much as I wanted Luke Shen to return, as much as I thought Ryan O'Reilly was a good fit for there, and maybe I just was kind of getting that feeling of, okay, this is a Brad Treliving thing again, where he's going to bring a guy like Ryan Reeves in and just try to bring in that size, try to bring in that type of team, and just try to get someone that could maybe, in a way, just protect the big guy, like the bigger guys there. But man, oh man, like John Klingberg one that threw me off. That threw me off a lot. The John Klingberg one, I didn't think
that was weird.
He was gonna go for that. It's understandable now where we looked at Toronto's defense in the playoffs. As much as I liked what they were able to do, bring in more defensive guys, like they really did lose a lot of that offense from the back end. Like you'll get the occasional stuff from a TJ Brody but that's not enough. So I liked getting another right hand shot there. I agree with you too with the way Klingberg's been. I think he kind of settled down in Dallas. He was always on PP1, and when he went to Minnesota, that's when things kind of settled down. With the Ducks, that's a whole different thing because that was just a terrible team defensively. And in Minnesota, I think that did kind of humble him in what his role is now. He's not that guy where we were expecting that huge extension anymore. And I thought it was okay. I thought, okay, we're getting somewhere with these signings, at least for day one.
Then we go to day two, and the roof gets blown off because first off, Tyler Bertuzzi gets signed. We're talking about Detroit after this because I saw something that I really, really want to bring up. But anyway, Tyler Bertuzzi, the guy who Mr. No Vaccine, 1 year, $5.5 million deal. Then I believe it was the next day it was confirmed, but we knew by the end of day two that Max Domi was signing 1 year, $3 million. Two players that, I mean, God, are they not the type of players the Leafs have needed? They are. Max Domi, I think, on his worst days, worst seasons, is a 40-point. Like, he doesn't hit as much as people think that he does. I saw some numbers about this, but
he had 22 hits last year, apparently.
But he has skill. Worst things, he can be a good distributor, 40-point guy in a bad year, like easy. But he's spicy.
That's all that matters.
Like, he loves playing in big markets. We saw that in Montreal. And I promise you this, if you're telling me, if you don't think Max Domi's going to turn it up a bit wearing the same jersey as his dad,
give him the same number. Give him the same number. Come on.
And, and Bertuzzi on top of that. It's just another guy who's got some family blood. Hopefully he doesn't sucker punch anyone.
Bertuzzi's the guy I wish the Leafs went after with their first round pick. With the 28th, I guess it was the 28th pick, and they didn't. Whatever, they picked Easton Cowan instead.
They got both.
Yeah, they got both. Sure, but man, I love it. I won't lie. I just the idea of listen. I'm not, dude. Nothing matters until April. You thought last year was bad. I don't know. You thought last year was bad.
We're just not going to talk about the Leafs until
This
April.
year is so incredibly worse.
Trade deadline, and that's it.
Yeah, and like, oh, they made a trade, and that's it. Like, there's no need for game by game breakdown with this team because nothing matters until April to such a bigger extent. And what they I find what they brought in a free agency is usually what they bring in at the deadline. If you look over the last couple of years as to what they brought in at the deadline, they brought it in at the beginning of the year, and I really hope that pays off. And next year, this season, there's going to be a top six that, in some ways, I don't even know. Let's just call it what it is: Bertuzzi, Matthews, Marner, Domi, Tavares, Nylander. Just someone to spice it up. And you know what? It's nice to have Ryan Reeves as your 13th forward, just to beat the crap out of somebody.
I do like
in a while.
I do like it a lot. I think we already know what we're getting with Tyler Bertuzzi in terms of the size, in terms of the grit, in terms of like that sandpaper we always talk about.
Just a pain.
Yeah. He's a scorer, and I think the biggest thing for me is Max Domi, because if we're going to put in terms of where these guys play and in comparables of the numbers in terms of the cap hit, I think he was a guy that even at this point has a higher potential to just be a guy that fits better if you need him in the top 9, in the top 6 somewhere than an Alex Kerfoot, where time and time again they tried to put him in the top 6, it just never worked out. And
you think? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go on.
No, go on. Finish.
Yeah, and I think with Max Domi, he was a guy that we saw with Dallas that when he got there at the deadline, he really was able to heat it up a bit more. It's a spark plug you need. We talk about how there's just certain guys that they work towards what they're able to give in the occasion they're given, and I think Max Domi is just that type of guy for them, where he'd be a spark plug for them when maybe the top guys are being neutralized or you're just not getting scoring from them.
We're forgetting a really important thing about these two guys. Do you think they sign referee sticks? That's all that matters.
Domi definitely does.
Yeah, I can
his dad, but Bertuzzi?
Yeah,
I don't know. It might be important.
Maybe Ryan Reeves does. I don't know.
I saw the clip of Bertuzzi grabbing. It was, I don't remember. I think it was the Florida series, or it was when he was in Detroit. I don't remember. Grabbing a Florida player's stick and just taking it with him to the bench.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, what the hell happens if he does that when he's in Toronto?
You know what that reminds me of? The famous clip where Corey Perry has Marian Hosa's stick and he won't give it back to him. So Hossa lets go and Perry drops it. And he's like, yeah, there you go. I love that clip so much.
I just want that in Toronto. That's all I've been asking for like 3 or 4 years now. I'm not a hard man to please.
We're gonna go rapid fire here because we only have a few more minutes and there's a lot to get to. Okay, quickly. It looks like Philip Zadina will be bought out or contract terminated tomorrow, maybe. But anyway, this is from Big Head Hockey. Detroit's last 2 free agencies. Billy Husso, 4.8 times 3 years. Andrew Cott, 5.65 years. David Perron, 1.82 years. Ben Chirot, 4.8 for 4 years. Justin Hall, 3.4 for 3 years. JT Compher for 5.1 for 5 years. I missed this one. $4 million for 1 year for Shane Gostisbehere. Didn't know that. Missed that part. But isn't that kind of funny?
I'm kind of confused.
I am starting to question the Shanna plan. I won't lie.
The Iser plan.
Yeah, I mean both.
I've been questioning the Shannon plan for years.
Yeah, it's been getting kind of confusing.
I'm not sure.
Alex Galchenyuk goes to Arizona along with Alex Kerfoot and Jason Zucker. Weird. This is from Cat Friendly's depth charts. Alex Galchenyuk's NHL journey, drafted by Montreal, re-signed by Montreal. I'm assuming he means extended. Traded to Arizona, then Pittsburgh, then Minnesota, signed by Ottawa, traded to Carolina. Forgot about that because it was like a two-way thing where then he went to Toronto, signed by Arizona, signed by Colorado, Wrights traded to Nashville, and signed back with the Arizona Coyotes.
Yeah, they're just filling roster spots.
He is allowing himself. Yeah, he's got a whole forward line of stuff. He's just He's just going through. The Canadians signed Elias Anderson to a 2-way deal. Who cares? Throw your silver medal again. I legit love that moment, by the way. I think it's really funny. Oh yeah, Pierre Engvall. Sorokin, 8-year deal. He's good. Sweet, cool.
Man, I love that deal.
I know it's less than $9 million. Connor Hellebuck,
really
you
good.
ain't getting the Vasilevsky deal anymore, by the way, brother.
No.
Sorry to hear that. Jonathan Drouin is going to play with his former Moosehead teammate Nathan McKinnon. That's he's gonna
They
have.
just need
60
Zach
points.
Fucali now, and they're good.
He's gonna have 60 points, and it's gonna bother the hell out of me. I can't wait for it to happen. Okay. So Riley Smith comes in for a third to Pittsburgh, basically Jason Zucker's replacement. I only wanted to mention this because obviously the Penguins drafted Brendan Yeager, great name. Not as good as Aaron Yeager for all my Attack on Titan fans out there. But do you know what's really funny? In Elite Prospects Draft Guide, do you know who Brendan Yeager's comparable is in the NHL? Riley Smith.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I thought that was really neat. Ivan Barbashev also stays in Vegas 5x5. I thought he was going to go to the open market and get more. Low pricing, don't hate it.
You thought he would have got more in the open market?
Oh yeah, 100%.
More than 5x5.
He would have
This
gotten
year.
he would have gotten Alex Kaloran money. Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Almost that's almost the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. He would have gotten more. Tyler Toffoli gets traded for a third in Yegor Saragovich to
We
New
should
Jersey.
talk about the Flames sometime soon.
That's not a good trade. I don't want to hear a damn thing about contract wise and shut up. That's a dumb deal. It's a bad deal, and we need to admit it. They gave up a first and a prospect for that guy.
Yeah.
Tyler
I get this. I get the situation, but
do better. 5-year deal, $20 million is the total thing of it. I believe it's a $5 million. No, it's not.
For who?
Jonas Corposalo. What's 20 million divided by 5?
4.
Help me.
4.
Jonas Corposalo. Yeah, they got their goalie. I didn't think he'd go to Ottawa, but good for them. They got their goalie.
Yeah, I mean, sure, we'll see what happens next year.
Because the rebuild is over.
Are they going to get more points than the Leafs, though? That was a conversation that started on Twitter. Thanks.
I don't think so. My neighbors are being very loud, and I kind of hate it. Matt Duchene, 1 year, $3 million with the Dallas Stars. Don't hate it.
I wish he was a Leaf.
Yeah, that's good. It took me way too long to realize what you guys meant by the Winnipeg Wheel show gets canceled. Blake Wheeler gets bought out, then signs a 1-year deal with the New York Rangers. He'll fit in because they don't play defense and rely on their Hulk.
I feel like Mike called that, didn't he?
Who knows? Probably did.
Maybe.
No?
But and like a nice cheap number. He definitely could have gotten more.
I think it's like $1 million, isn't it? You know who else is a Ranger, by the way? Jonathan Quick.
Wow.
That's weird.
Yeah.
So how many games is Igor Shesterkin playing next year?
75.
He's playing a lot, man. He's playing a lot.
Yeah.
Where else? We talked about Tyler Toffoli. Mike Riley finally got bought out. I don't know if he's signed yet, but like low risk player. But the real one I want to talk about, Kyler Yamamoto got bought out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a throw in for with some Costin.
Yeah, so Costin got signed, I'm pretty sure, by the Red Wings.
$2 million a year.
Did Yamamoto end up?
Seattle. 1.5.
That's smart by Seattle.
Man.
Smart team.
Sometimes.
Yeah. After their first year, they became smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess this is
almost
them
beating.
trying
I mean, I guess almost beating Colorado does that. Or no, they beat Colorado. They almost beat.
Yeah.
Who do they play in the second round? Why can't I remember?
Vegas?
Dallas?
No.
They
Dallas?
almost won the second round. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Dallas.
Yeah.
Remember, like, they're feasting on Jake Ottinger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he wasn't good. Yeah, it wasn't great. I think that's everything. There's a lot of crap that I need to go through on my phone, but a lot of it's just sort of a lot of stuff about me being upset about David Reinbacher. A lot of stuff, by the way. David Poyle, great career. Congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I know people were upset that every team wished him congratulations. Man stayed with Nashville and didn't get fired. How's respect? You know what I mean? You gotta have so at
No,
LCBR, right?
to be fair though,
yeah,
the first round should never be 4 hours.
that's not on him though. But yeah, that was bad.
No, that's not I'm not saying
It's
it's
just
David
they take
Poyle's
so
fault. I'm
long.
just
So like because here's the thing, right? Is I know a lot of people hate the old school and think of respect in hockey because it gets overblown. At LCBO, we had a supervisor retire last Friday. Guy's been working there longer than I've been alive. And my manager had a thing of like, there's just one main walkway that basically everyone either forklifts drive up and then people walk up like the little sidewalk thing, right?
mm-hmm.
Manager got everyone in the warehouse to line up that pathway and they like saw him off, right? Really sweet moment. And you know what the manager said to me was, it's been here all this time. You have to respect that. And David Poyle did everything in his power to turn Nashville into a real market. And, you know, guy deserves, and I think he got to make a trade, like him and, what was it? So the first captain in Nashville history was Tom Fitzgerald, and he made a trade with Poyle in the 7th round to beat Poyle's like last official trade or something happened. Nice little story
cool.
here. Yeah, man. That's what the thing's all about. And shout out to the Habs drafting Arbor Jackie's brother Florian. 101st overall. Oh my god. Cool name, Florian Jacki. You couldn't get that out of a number generator, probably.
No.
And you know, I think that's everything.
All right.
Unless I'm forgetting something.
Nope. I do not have anything.
No,
all right.
I'm good.
Well, that's everything. I'm off tomorrow, so I'm gonna go relax. Hey. Yeah.
You're gonna what?
All right. Relax.
Oh, I see. I'm gonna go to the works. Like you're gonna New York fries. Never mind.
No. Hey, Daniel, you watch Evangelion, right? That's like your favorite anime.
Yeah.
Have you seen the end of Evangelion?
I haven't yet.
That explains a lot.
Okay.
I saw this on Twitter. It's an angel. It looks like one, eh? Mm-hmm. Watch end of Evangelion and please text me after you watch the opening scene.
Okay.
Because I binge watched Evangelion when I hurt my back and I hated it, especially the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I hated it after like episode 17. After like the Koji stuff. I was like, It was good. It peaked, and I'm like, I hate the rest of it. Anyway, that's it. Thank you everyone for watching. We're going to one a week now. Unless we don't get any news and there's not much we can do. But we have the off-season tier list whenever some of the rest of the big names get signed.
Yep.
And yeah.
Right.
Thank you for watching and listening and all that crap. We'll see you next time and take it easy.